We are now live.
All right, it's 1:01 by my watch. So I'm calling the May 11th, 2026 meeting of the Albemarle County Architectural Review Board to order. If you could call the roll, please.
Yes. Mr. Henningsen,
Here.
Mr. Hancock,
Here.
Mr. Stoner,
Here.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Here.
Mr. Vanderwerf.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Do any ARB members have anything to disclose?
No.
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 All right, great. Today's meeting is a hybrid meeting. The public may access and participate in the meeting electronically. Instructions for doing so are posted on the Albemarle County website at the Albemarle County calendar. The public has real-time audiovisual access to this meeting over Zoom and real-time audio access over telephone, both as provided in the lawfully posted meeting notice. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the county's website calendar. This meeting is a public record and subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. All speakers, when it is your turn to speak, please state your name for the record. Applicants who are making presentations, note that your presentation is limited to a total of 15 minutes, which you can divide among your team members. Staff will let you know when the 15 minutes are up. If applicants in the meeting room have team members attending virtually who will need to present, please make that known when you come to the podium. Everyone who is participating virtually, please mute your microphone until it is your turn to speak. Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment about a project that is not on the agenda for review?
No one online.
Shucks. There are no consent agenda items today. We have one regular review item today, which is ARB 2026-00004 Dutch Pantry Edition. Marka.
Okay, this is a review of a proposal to construct an addition to the existing store building that's located at 5548 Seminole Trail. And that location is on the west side of the Route 29 entrance corridor, and it's just a short distance south of the Albemarle-Greene County line. The addition is proposed on the south side of the building. It's set back from the front elevation of the existing store, and it uses the same basic building and roof forms and materials as the existing. The work also includes the construction of a pergola and a patio area in front of the addition. The entrance corridor facing elevation of the addition would be faced with brick painted to match the existing store. That elevation has a pedestrian door, an overhead rolling door, and 2 windows. In the staff report, we noted that the windows aren't coordinated with the other openings in the existing and proposed buildings, but given the size and setback from the street, we don't expect them to have a significant impact, particularly if the glass meets the standard criteria. The side and rear elevations of the addition would be constructed of concrete block. That material is not typically appropriate for the entrance corridor, but only a portion of the south elevation is expected to be visible from the street. We don't think that will have a significant impact. The proposed materials have been indicated in a virtual materials board, but they're not called out on the elevations or renderings, and the architectural drawings have no scale or dimensions, so we've recommended that those items be added to the drawings. The site plan shows a mechanical unit in the corner where the new addition meets the existing building. It doesn't seem to be shown consistently on all the drawings. So we've recommended that it be located where it won't be visible from the street. We've recommended coordination among the drawings and additional screening if the unit will still be visible. The drawings are also not coordinated regarding the patio and the pergola, and neither are shown on site plan, and only the patio is shown on the architectural plan. No details are provided for the pergola, and we've recommended that those details be provided and all the drawings be coordinated. Some light fixtures are shown on the renderings. We've recommended some notes to be added to the drawings to make sure the lighting is consistent with the guidelines. And the development of the site predates the establishment of the entrance corridor, so the frontage is not consistent with the guidelines. What looks like a good-sized planting island is mostly off-site in the right-of-way, and overhead lines run along the frontage, so there's no space for the standard street trees. We've recommended, and as a recommendation and not as a requirement, that shrubs be added to help mitigate that paved area. And our recommendation is for approval with the conditions listed in the staff report. Be happy to try to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thanks a lot, Margaret. Guess we'll start with Frank Stoner, if you have any questions.
I do not. Thank you, Margaret.
All right, Dave?
Thank you, Margaret. Chris, no questions.
All right, Frank?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Margaret.
Tara?
No, no questions. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not because I don't care, but I don't have any questions either.
Thank you.
If the applicant has a presentation, now would be the time.
Thank you. I don't have any additional presentation. I just wanted to thank you for your time and make you aware that I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. I guess we'll move to questions for the applicant. Dave, do you have any questions?
I guess if you've had a chance to review the staff report and recommendations, are there any questions or difficulties addressing those?
No, we have reviewed that. So part of the patio is taking an existing concrete pad that was there for a dumpster that's no longer used that way. So that's what led to the patio decision, and the HVAC equipment will be behind the building.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Frank Stoner?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Tara?
Is there any renovation work associated that would take place on the exterior of the building?
On the exterior of the existing building, no, just the addition. There is going to be an addition of an office space on the interior. They've well exceeded the capabilities of the current building, so they need more storage and an office space.
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks. Frank?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Yeah, and I don't have any questions either. Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
Nobody online.
All right, in that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we will start with Tara, if you have any comments.
Thanks to the applicant for making the application. I think that the proposed addition is nicely in keeping with the existing building. I appreciate that they've sort of had it defer a little bit to the existing. I don't have particular issues with the way that they've decided to design the window openings. I think they're well different from the existing structure. They're, in my sense, compatible with that general scale. So along with just complying with the elements that were listed in the staff report, I think that the applicant has done a nice job, and I'm looking forward to seeing that project. Thank you.
Thanks. Frank Hancock?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have any additional comments to what Tara said or what was included in the staff report. I think it's entirely appropriate. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Dave?
Yeah, Tara, Margaret, and Frank summed it up well, so I don't have anything to add. It seems like a good, appropriate addition to the
All
core.
right, thanks. Frank?
Agreed. I concur with the rest of the group. I think it's very reasonable, appropriate, compatible.
All right, thanks. And yeah, I think I am also in agreement, and I think as long as the applicant agrees with all the comments from staff, then I think we're good to go on that. So if we could take a look at the recommended motion. Assuming there are no suggested changes, does anybody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ARB 2026-0004 Dutch Pantry Edition with the conditions listed in the staff report.
All right, I'll second that if we want to put it to a vote.
All right, Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
and Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. We have one work session item today, which is on the solar guidelines, and Margaret has a presentation for that.
Okay, this work session is a follow-up to the one held on January 20th, in which you commented on the first draft of the criteria for rooftop solar installations. We originally had this planned for a meeting in April, and we moved it today so that everyone could be present to comment. We shared with you the red line version of the criteria in which we made edits based on your comments from that earlier meeting. The goal for today is to finalize or get as close to final as possible on those text edits, and also to discuss a few issues that came up in the previous meeting. My plan for this presentation is to stop periodically through it and get your comments and on each item. So there were several edits to the criteria for panels on pitched roofs. Edits were made to criteria number 1 and 7 as you requested, but I'd like to go into a little detail on some of the other changes. Let's start with number 3. In the January meeting, there was some confusion about the meaning of number 3. The criteria is meant to say that the panels must be mounted parallel to and at the same angle as the roof. So the panels in the left image in this slide would not meet that criteria, but the ones on the right would. I revised the text to reference the roof plane instead of the surface of the roof. So that criteria now reads that panels mounted parallel to the roof plane. Does that work?
Yes.
That's good?
Yep.
Okay. Let's move on to number 6. Criteria 6 limits the amount of space between the roof and the panel. And there was discussion about whether 6 inches was the right distance. So I went back to the research that I had prepared for the January meeting. And not all the localities provide a specific measurement, and those that do use different language to talk about it. For example, Chesapeake says that the system must not be more than 8 inches from the surface of roof to the face of the panel. Richmond says panels may not extend more than 6 inches above the roof surface. Smithfield says panels should be mounted less than or equal to 6 inches above the surface of the roof. And Williamsburg says panels should not project greater than 12 inches above the roof surface. So there's just not consistency in the number or the way it's talking about the distances from the roof to the panels. Just as a reminder, the Virginia Asphalt Services project that you all reviewed and approved, that distance was 4 inches from the surface of the roof to the underside of the panel. So I'd left the distance at 6 inches here, but also clarified by saying that the measurement would be to the underside of the panel, just so it's not confusing which part of the panel we're talking about. Does that seem reasonable, or do you have further concerns?
I appreciate the research on other precedents. I do feel like probably regulating the top surface of the panel is ultimately a way to give us more certainty about where it ends up. So I don't know if others agree and whether that means we should specify a higher number. I think you mentioned 8 inches in one locality to the top surface of panel. I think in general, the panels are getting slimmer and there's no incentive for folks to make the mounting more extensive than it needs to be, but the closer it is to the roof surface, the better. So I don't know if others have any thoughts. So I guess I might offer maybe the language of 8 inches to the top or even 6 inches to the top if that were feasible, but I don't know off the top of my head. Might be preferable from my perspective, but I defer to others.
You know what the thickest panel?
I do not, but I could make a couple calls and see what we can find out.
Typically, they're pretty thin.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I think that's a good idea to make it to the top of the panel.
Because that's the surface that you see, so
Yeah.
I think giving them 2 inches of wiggle room seems pretty reasonable to me too.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd go with the 8 inches to the top. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Can you remind us, Margaret, which locality was it? Which locality had that 8 inch to the top standard?
I've got 8 inches for Chesapeake and 12 inches for Williamsburg.
Panels were thicker in colonial times.
I'm sorry?
The panels were thicker in the colonial era.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like if,
Adequate.
yeah,
Yeah, but I
And
think
if
it's smart to do it to the top side because that's the ultimate distance.
right. I think, like, if we're being too strict with that, I think we'll start getting applicants asking for, we can't do that because, you need 5 inches to,
Right.
turn a wrench under the panel or whatever, so.
Yeah.
um,
I can go back and look at the applications that you had reviewed and see what those thicknesses are. And if it seems to be a problem with those, then we can revisit again.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, next item. At the January meeting, you noted that the racking system extending beyond the roof in this image was problematic. So I added criterion number 9 to say that mounting systems should not extend beyond the panels or the roof. That seem reasonable?
Yes.
mhm.
This is a great reference image. Like you could
Yeah,
use
it
this.
is.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, for so many
So
things.
many things.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
This is like any ordinance you have, you can point to that.
Right.
Okay, that was everything for the pitched roofs. There were also edits to the criteria for flat roofs. Simple edits were made to numbers 2 and 4 as you requested in January, and to criterion 3 just for better flow of the text there. Criterion 1 originally read, panels may be installed in any configuration and set on an angle if the facility is entirely below the top of the roof. Below the top of the parapet. And then there was a request to add to that, if not visible from the entrance corridor. But if the facility won't be visible, then it doesn't require ARB review and approval. So I eliminated what was originally number 1 under flat roofs, and I added a note at the end regarding visibility and ARB review. And that reads, if parapets or other parts of the building eliminate visibility of the solar installation as viewed from the entrance corridor street, ARB approval of the design is not required. Documentation confirming lack of visibility will be required for staff review. That information would come along with the building permit, which we would be checking anyway, just as part of the process. Anything in building permit in the entrance corridor would come to us for review for that type of item. I also added a similar note for the pitched roof section. Are there any questions or comments on that?
No.
Those seem like good,
All good?
good steps.
Okay. And I also made edits to the captions of the example images just to coordinate with the edits that we've just discussed. So with the change for the distance from the panel or from the roof to the panel to the 8 inches, is there general agreement that those edits are good?
Yes.
Yes, thank you,
Great.
Margaret.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So there were a few other topics that came up in January that weren't addressed in the draft criteria. I've done a little bit of research and will try to address those now. One of those questions was about how panels over parking spaces fit into the criteria. So if the proposal is to add solar panels to a structure that's already existing, we think that that could be handled the same way as panels on buildings with pitched or flat roofs. But if the proposal is for a new solar parking canopy, which is a structure specifically engineered to both shelter the vehicles and generate solar energy, then we think that the panels would be fully integrated into the form and structure of the canopy. So some of those criteria that we've just looked at we wouldn't need to review for them. However, as you can see from these images, solar parking canopies can be designed with some more dramatic profiles and with integrated lighting, and they can also be used in multiples to cover large parking areas. And those factors could result in significant visual impacts as viewed from the entrance corridor street. So solar parking canopies may be structures that you'd like to reserve for full A or B review, or countywide certificates could be limited to canopies with minimal visual impact. For example, those that are maybe single structures that are proposed or with a single slope roof. So if either of those options sound good, we can develop language accordingly. Or if there's another option that you'd like to pursue, we can discuss that. So the questions here are, should the countywide criteria apply to solar panels proposed to be added to parking canopies? Should countywide criteria be drafted for simple solar parking canopies and more complicated designs reserved for A or B review? Are there any questions on any
So
of
I
that?
guess, Margaret, in the first question, that scenario is that somebody would like get approval for a parking canopy, which would require ARB approval, and then if that were approved, they would be able to add.
So the first question would be like, that's when there's an existing structure that's
Okay.
over. So,
Yeah.
do we want the countywide criteria to apply to panels that are proposed to be added to existing?
I kind of feel like if it's an existing parking canopy, it's kind of like a roof, just like any other building on a structure. So I don't see why you shouldn't be able to meet some simple criteria
Right.
and not have to go before us.
So I think for those so you're talking about the existing canopy, just adding panels to it. Right, yeah, I think that we could just add a note to the criteria saying it's not just buildings, it's includes structures, existing structures over parking.
Yeah, in which case, like, if the panels would be visible to the EC on top of the canopy. Well, the canopy's not a flat roof. It's not a pitched roof. So, it would be outside of those two categories, and it would be one that you could add panels to, whether or not they were visible. Or,
So the end of what you said, it's actually hard to hear you all.
oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
actually really well in the recording, but it's really hard to hear.
Okay, doesn't amplify it to the room. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
It's hard to hear you as well.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that, back to the images, that for single, maybe for single canopies or canopies with a single, pitch, that they would, it would make sense to just apply the criteria we've already talked about, either the pitched roof,
Okay,
or the flat roof. And I think that would work.
okay, great.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I don't think, are there a lot of these in the
Not yet.
county? I think they're pretty expensive.
They are.
And so
yeah,
you
the
don't see
foundation
them a
work
lot.
is surprisingly involved. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I agree. I think, to the extent that there are these, they could follow that countywide criteria of adding. But then the second question, should canopy be drafted for solar parking? I don't know how useful that would be. Like, are we getting a lot of applications for these, or?
No.
I think we would want to see it. I don't know that it would make sense for it to be a countywide element.
I tend to agree.
If it's a new canopy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
How do we even evaluate those? Forget about the solar piece.
well, I think there's a precedent. It's way back, but Colonial Nissan
Yeah.
came to us to put a canopy. I think it had solar on it on top of their parking deck.
Yes.
It's been a few years.
Yes.
It
yeah,
was a
yeah,
while
Yeah,
ago.
that's the main,
Building.
that's the main.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, but maybe you're right. Maybe that's just a modification to its building and not necessarily, but it,
Chris Henry did one on 20 North, that condo project they built.
oh, he did?
Yeah. That may be the only one I'm aware of.
That is the only one that I can think of, and it's not visible from
It's
the
not
entrance
visible.
border.
No.
But yeah, I would think we would want to see it. I think it would spend a lot of time trying to draft the countywide
Yeah,
when we might get one of these every 5 years or
Sure.
even if we got one a year, I don't know.
Okay,
I mean, you would, I guess my thought is just, yeah, if it's a structure that gets site plan or any other thing that pulls it into our process,
Yeah, we're gonna see it anyway.
we can evaluate it along, for the most part, the same criteria, right? Like it's orderly and it
Yeah.
looks
Right.
nice, right? Et
Yeah.
cetera.
yeah. I think this is anticipating, an existing development. Site plan's already approved, everything's already built, this is coming in after
Yeah.
the fact, so,
like a big shopping center with a big parking lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so it sounds like there's general agreement that the solar parking canopies should, we don't need to add criteria for them, those are things that would come to the ARB for full review. That works, okay.
Yeah.
Great,
I thought. And we can certainly reevaluate that if
Exactly.
we start getting like tons of applications for that too.
right. Okay, another topic that came up in January was solar shingles. You asked how solar shingles might fit into the criteria. I did a little bit of research there. We think the process could differ depending on the type of solar shingle that's proposed. If an entire roof is covered with them, it seems like criteria regarding location, orientation, and mounting would not be issues. It wouldn't be things we'd have to review for. But color and pattern could be things we'd still want to look at. If solar shingles are to be mounted to only part of a roof, then it seems like the design criteria could be like those that we've already discussed. Coordinating shingle size, color, orientation, and mounting details with the existing roof form and materials could all be relevant considerations. So the questions here, should countywide criteria be drafted for roofs covered entirely in solar shingles? If so, should these include criteria beyond color and pattern? Another question, should countywide criteria for coordinating size, color, orientation, and mounting details be drafted for solar shingles installed on parts of roofs? Any questions there? And just for reference, we haven't had any applications for these.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it seems like solar shingles, like all these examples that we're looking at, like just by their very nature, meet all the requirements for solar panels. Unless I'm not thinking of one. You know, they are in the same plane as the roof.
True.
They would not extend beyond the roof. They're within 6 inches of the roof plane. So I'd say if there are requirements, I would lean on the, very permissive side or not have any additional requirements just because they're solar shingles. I think they seem to be just by their very nature, like in compliance with, the requirements that we were talking about for solar panels.
Yeah, that seems like a good observation, Chris. And to the extent there's one regulation that addresses it, that seems positive. In terms of the question about color and pattern, I get, I don't know whether that applies to the solar panels themselves. And do the solar shingles come in different colors than?
I'm not sure. I was just thinking about the middle, the lower middle image, how that one just looks very different than the others.
I'm all for making things like easier, but we've never seen an application. So we have no idea. Like we could create this countywide and then be presented with even something in one of these images and it could have an impact on the corridor. I
Yeah.
feel like we should maybe see an application,
For the shingles
before we
before
go and- right? And we
Yeah,
might not.
I mean, that
need
makes
one.
sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
True.
would- right. And then, yeah.
But I mean, I like the countywide, but I feel like, doesn't that usually come out of, we've had multiple reviews, we say the same thing?
Yeah.
You know, it's not,
Good observation, Frank. Yeah, I agree.
but I feel like if we have one or multiple, if we have multiple, that might lead to a countywide, but right now, you know, it might have some unintended consequences.
Okay,
Would be my thought.
looks like there's general agreement there.
I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, the images in this slide, in the lower left and lower right corners were shown in the January meeting. And that led some of you to note that arrays of that type might be more difficult to see as being available for countywide certificates. It's really hard to find internet images of solar panels on flat roofs as viewed from the ground. This is the best I could do. These do show sort of a variety of installations on the flat roofs. With those images, it seems like there are three categories of arrays on flat roofs or nearly flat roofs. First is the arrays that are fully screened by parapets, and that would be the top left image. Second is those arrays that are mostly screened by parapets and are oriented to the entrance quarter street in a way that significantly minimizes the view of the array. An example of that would be the top right. That's the High School Center 2 project that you reviewed and approved. And then the third category is the arrays that are not only visible themselves, but they might change the building's proportions or impact the form and general character of the building, as in the bottom two images. If the array is fully screened, as we noted earlier, then ARB review isn't required. I think the question is what level of review is appropriate for those mostly not visible arrays and the significantly visible arrays. Installations of both types could be reserved for full ARB review, or we could try to outline some parameters for what that mostly not visible means. So the questions here, should arrays on flat roofs that are not fully screened by parapets require ARB review and approval, or is there some level of not fully screened that should be available for staff level review?
I think it may be challenging to define a consistent threshold for, fully screened versus unfully screened. So it seems like either screened or not screened is an easier thing to establish factually. I do think, to the extent applicants could provide, like in the case of the Center 2, sightlines from the EC demonstrating that there aren't readily visible angles from which the panels are visible, or staff could then have that in the record and establish a finding of not of either screened or not visible, by the roof extent itself. But because I can just imagine if in some cases panels are not fully screened, to some degree, and then another applicant expects that same relief, how we have a line that is meaningfully held and that applicants feel is equitably applied.
I agree.
Once again, especially because we're not inundated with, application. I think if, like the other examples, like if we was starting to clog up every meeting, then it would be worth
Okay.
trying to split that.
Okay. General agreement there. Other comments?
Fully screened could just include elevation as well, right? I mean, we're looking down at buildings. If it was a 6-story building and it's on top, even if there's no parapet. how does
Yeah.
it- Yeah.
Right, you may not see it. Mhm.
Right.
Mhm. Other comments? Okay. That is all I had for you today. So I think what we'll do is make the few changes that we talked about and bring it back to you next time and for adoption.
Yep. Great.
And just as an aside, on May 26th, we'll be at the Planning Commission with the zoning ordinance text change that accompanies this. So that's just the adding that category of countywide certificate to the list of categories. Okay. Great, thank you.
All right. Thanks a
Thank you.
lot. All right, next order of business is a motion to adopt the May 4th, 2026 minutes.
Since I wasn't here, I'd like to move to approve them.
All right, I'll second that if we can put it to a vote.
Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, do any board members or staff have any other items for discussion? Seems like a no on that. So the next ARB meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 26th.
Actually, that's a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh, okay,
Sorry,
After
but-
Memorial Day.
We have a typo.
okay. So Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. It's possible that I may not be able to make that. I don't know for sure, but I'll let you know.
I will not be able to make that meeting.
Others?
I currently can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here.
Okay. If that changes, please let us know.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Are there review items scheduled for it?
There is one, two,
The 24th.
just forgetting what it is at the moment.
We can look forward to it on the agenda a little bit. It's all right.
26, you mean. You want to, we have ARB 2026-06 Car Lovers Rio, and then ARB 2026-08 Vet Emergency Group, and then a work session for the outdoor display for ZTAs.
So we've got a few things.
Okay.
All right. Well, so it seems like tentatively we have a quorum, so this meeting is adjourned until our next meeting on Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. It's, let's say 1:40. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.